ngicela ipen for la.
Okay. Asokusho ukuthi singabatshela ukuthi bangenzini. Sometimes ispeaker masisemoyeni sipointa ngapha. And sometimes no.
At least I mean,
One. So one.
Their banner is here,
The
no?
Scotch guy and the blue guy. The two guys. Right? Here's the background. Yeah, they want to use the background. No, we just move it.
What do you want it? Okay, I'll go light the night.
The light's coming this way. Pull towards you. Romeo, can you hear me? So, are we checking lip sync? I can hear you, but you're like crackly and not clear. Yes. I don't know if the mic is too close to your face. So graphics, we're going to be interviewing Charlton Piliso, the acting CEO. After that, it'll be Sihle Ngubane, the chairperson of the board. Are we ready? So the first person is Charlton. Yes? Yeah, Romeo? The copy of the program. The name is, but Dennis has them. That's not the program. No. I will ask Belinda to print us a program if possible. Otherwise, you can open it on your phone. Are we ready? Okay, so they're pre-recorded. That's fine. Are we ready? Are we ready? Romeo. Okay. Yes? So we're starting with Sihle. Romeo, are you ready? think it's Sarona's. So how long have you been
The chairperson.
Yeah.
First of April this year. We are just I run my own ICT company. I sit on the SASA board. I was at the post office board. Passport in Johannesburg. Various
Guys, can we go? Please, since we're not live. Are we ready? One, two, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We are here at the MICT SETA presentation of the annual report at the Incubation Hub in Riversands. Are you happy, audio? Yes, we do. Thank you so much for your time, Sihle. Can you just tell us where are we and what's happening today?
Okay, thanks. Thank you very much as well. We are here at Incubation Hub. It's between Fourways and Midrand. So we are having an AGM for MICT SETA, an annual AGM where we are reporting back to our stakeholders about what happened to the previous financial years. And then we are engaging them of the future direction with the new people, or with the new team on the guard and the new board and everything. So we are just coming to report back, as it is a culture with all the SETAs, that every year they must have AGM and report back to the stakeholders and the shareholders, the D8 of where are we, where are we planning to go from here.
Why are institutions like SETA so important in a country like ours?
SETAs are important because by their nature they are designed by government, higher education, to develop skills that is needed in the country, the future skills. It is just demanded to be present so that we are able to curb the unemployment, because people need to be skilled as well to be ready for the work environment. So SETAs are built to prepare unskilled from TVET, from universities, from unemployed youth and women, so that it can put them in the market and make them ready to be able to contribute economically in the country.
You've been in office for a year. How has the past 9 months been?
It's been a good 9 months. We've been working well with the new board, working well as well with the CEO. So for us, it was a matter of coming in, stabilize the SETA, and then from there onwards, hold hands together with the board, with the CEO, and move the SETA forward. So far, for me as a chairperson, it's been a good year. We have seen SETA paying its grants, mandatory grants, discretionary grants. So we've delivered. We've been delivering on our mandate. We're looking at increasing numbers. Of course, we're not happy with just meeting our target. It would be nice to go beyond than our target. But with the team we have, like the CEO and the new board and all the stuff, I'm sure we'll achieve that. Yeah.
So we're streaming on YouTube and Facebook. What can the viewers expect from today's proceedings?
The viewers must expect to know about what, in terms of ICT, the skills of the future. They must expect for us to talk about the skills of the future, to tell them about how we're going to try and onboard more students than we were. What we're trying to do is to increase the numbers through looking at funds somewhere, because we don't want to depend on the budget the government is giving us, and when we deliver skills, we want to get our budget, go get sources from outside to increase the number of skills, because we are behind. We have this country, South Africa, is a youth country. It's got about 60% of the youth. So we're looking at how can we tap into that youth and then bring them on board, skills them, and make them comply with there's 4IR, Fourth Industrial Revolution, Internet of Things, robotics. So people must expect that this will be a SETA of the future, a SETA that will be able to mutate employees from being unemployed to being employment in the technology of the future.
Thank you so much for your time, sir.
Okay, thanks very much, sir.
Thank you.
The thinking for the industrial revolution.
Trevor, please can you, so I'm short.
Okay.
Can we go?
I am right. Yeah, I shall.
Thank you so much, Charlton, for your time. Can you please tell us about today's theme for this financial report?
Thank you so much. Today we are doing the annual general meeting as a SETA, which is something that we do on an annual basis. But we thought we should theme this one to be under the theme here, Fourth Industrial Revolution, because we don't want to be left behind as a country. As a SETA, we're ensuring that our learners get the knowledge, get the exposure, they get everything that they have to get around the Fourth Industrial Revolution. If you look around, you will see that we've got exhibitors who have come in and they have themed this particular event under the Fourth Industrial Revolution. So we've got Internet of Things. The display there is about how to turn off your geyser and manage your geyser so that the insurance premiums can go down. So the value chain is a very long one, you know. So we want to be able to say as a SETA, we were at the forefront of the Fourth Industrial Revolution when it started, so that as a country, we are not left behind. That is the whole idea why we have themed the AGM in that particular way.
Did you pick these exhibitors on purpose, or did they have to pitch to be a part of today?
So we had a number of exhibitors that we could have brought in. So we looked at, we tried to niche the event. We looked at the ones that are going to directly talk to what we are doing. You know, in most cases, in technology, people always associate it with you must be in IT or it must be just for IT. So we brought the ones that are doing e-technology for various things outside IT, using IT. So hence, we have picked these ones. So these ones were hand-picked. We want our kids to go through robotics and learn about robotics. We want our kids to go through Internet of Things and see where it works. You don't have to be in an IT office to be able to apply this. So we hand-picked these ones for this particular event.
What do you hope the viewers who are watching via YouTube and Facebook take away from what will be presented and shown today?
The big message here is that, look, let's all come together. As a SETA, we're raising our hand to say we're taking the lead because it is our responsibility as a SETA in terms of skills development. We're taking a lead, and we want to ensure that come next year, we've got coders that are out there. Our kids are coders. Our kids can work with robotics without necessarily fearing the whole thing. So it's more of an advocacy to ensure that everybody gets to know, but not just know, but participate. That's what our viewers should take out of this.
Thank you so much for your time, sir.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Thank you. Thank you.
Yes, we do. Candila's voice, yeah. But it was not bad because she was asking questions, so.
There's black on the
You should be on the sharp.
Just the holding screen. So you need to fix
Can you check Facebook again?
Facebook is fix Facebook, right? Okay, so it's,
Maybe they cut black.
they must at least cut to boy or something.
he's going to just take it to what he can do. I just want you to see. You can make him sit. You can stand. You can breathe. You can breathe differently. You're just going to do push-ups.
One.
Yeah, he's captured that, he did capture that.
So basically, it's just a water flow then. So not engineer, so just monitoring how it goes through there, and see it through your house as well, the temperature that's inside here as well. So basically, once you start getting a leakage, it stops the geyser. It stops basically in the tray that you lit, it stops that basically, and then we can see that also it comes up as a leakage here. It'll show you that there's a leakage, and then we can dispatch it. Yeah, that's basically, it's all technology that we're using. So gateways, sensors through the network, consoles.
Sam. Sorry, sound mic check. Can I increase the volume, please? Between 1962 and 1980, South Korea was a country in abject poverty, an aid recipient with a per capita of $2,300 US. The country's main economic activity was agriculture. Today, South Korea is ranked as the 11th largest economy in the world, with a per capita in excess of $30,000 US. They are a global leader in ICT, consumer electronics, mobile broadband, and smartphones. Ladies and gentlemen, maybe I should have started with Once Upon a Time, because as much as this sounds like a fairy tale, it is all true. Without revealing my age, all of this was achieved in my lifetime. With those cold hard facts, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. I'd like to greet all our esteemed guests today. I would like to greet the ministry that is present, the Department of Higher Education and Training, the National Treasury, the Auditor General, our board, and stakeholders at large, all protocol observed. Ladies and gentlemen, and my name is Xabiso Majikiza. I will be directing the program for today. But I think to get back to our fairy tale, how did South Korea achieve its success? Transforming from an agricultural economy to a modern industrial power. And what can we as South Africans learn from it? More importantly, what is its relevance to our event this morning? Well, South Korea made a number of strategic decisions. They developed a framework of strategies, methods, and policy instruments. It also identified strategic sectors in the ICT. It developed funding instruments, methods, and identified key strategic sectors such as ICT. And lastly, it developed a skill set to implement these strategies. We all know currently that the South African economy is at a crossroads with low economic growth, a high unemployment rate, and substantive service delivery challenges. As was the case with South Korea in the 1980s, South Africa has the opportunity to utilize technology to resolve our challenges. Thus, as the MICT SETA, we are strategically positioned to work with both government and the private sector to develop our critical skills in the sector. It is our quest to continue to prioritize and create awareness about delivering skills development and training in the media and ICT sector in partnership with our stakeholders. Ladies and gentlemen, I would officially like to welcome you to our 2017 annual report presentation, which is hosted under the theme, The Fourth Industrial Revolution, Impacting Skills Development. As I officially open this program, let me take the opportunity to introduce our board chairperson, Mr. Sihle Ngubane. May we give him a round of applause. I would also like to take this opportunity to introduce our Acting Chief Executive Officer, Mr. Charlton Piliso. And last but not least, I would like to welcome our other panelists, Chief Financial Officer, Ms. Noni Gonji. Ladies and gentlemen, in keeping up with the technology and in maintaining our theme for today of the Fourth Industrial Revolution, I'd like to also inform you that this event has been made possible by our partner and stakeholder Vision Productions, who is currently assisting us in our live streaming, which is available to stream and watch currently on YouTube. And I think also to keep the engagement going on our social platforms, would also like you to follow us on Twitter. Tweet us at MICT SETA PAR 2018. And With regards to our program, you shall see that in your folders, there is an A5 booklet which will assist you to follow through the presentation that will be projected for ease of reference, which is basically a summarized view of our annual report. Without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to welcome you once again. Thank you for taking the time out of your busy schedules to share this morning with us. I will now call upon Mr. Sihle Ngubane, our board chairperson, who will open up the program officially and take us through his overview. May we give him a round of applause as he comes up.
Program Director, members of the MICT Board, Acting Chief Executive Officer, Senior Representative from Higher Education, our shareholders representative, Senior Representative from other departments who are here in place as well to come and visit us. Representatives as well from organized labor who are present here, and representative from the business. Stakeholders present, ladies and gentlemen, good morning and welcome. My name is Sihle Ngubane. I'm the chairperson of the MICT SETA board. So on behalf of the MICT SETA directors, the board here, I am pleased to welcome you to the 2018 annual general meeting of MICT SETA. Thank you all for attending this morning. I've been told that we have a quorum, so which means we can continue with the business of today. All board members are here, and our stakeholders as well. So, stakeholders, a notice was issued on the newspapers in regards to this gathering of today. All the information pertaining to this AGM was set out on that notice for today's business. So, and I hope you had an opportunity to read our report, which has been distributed by the MICT SETA, which stipulates in terms of our operational activities and our financial delivery of where we are, how did we perform, and what we did. Our board is pleased as well with the operation and financial results delivered by management. The results, combined with the progress in sustainability initiatives and governance practices that occurred in the past financial year, were very successful. We had those hinges there and there, but as management was hard at work, we actually as a board aren't happy to be the board that comes and report the not usual financial status by AG of the SETA, which is unqualified audit. I know others says, it's unqualified audit, it's close to clean audit. But taking into knowing our management previously that they are used to total clean audit. So we wouldn't congratulate ourselves to say we did well. Because for the past approximately 10 or more years, this MICT has been receiving clean audit all the time. It's the first time that it received the unqualified audit. But as board as well, we've looked at those situations and looked at which environment have we arrived ourselves on, and take into cognizance that this is the current status. So we need to assist as well, collaborate well with management to bring them where they used to be, a clean audit. So our task as board will be just that, to focus on the execution of our strategy, the development of the skills development mandate. So we are composed of an effective board that has a variety of skills from media, advertising, labor. So as board, we have a capacity. There's no excuse from us as board to say, why can't we go back to the audit results that we had before? Together with the external and internal stakeholders that we have in the ICT sector, we as well plan to collaborate in terms of looking at how can we be a SETA of the MICT SETA of the future. As you know, the technology is disruptive. It doesn't beg. So when technology has arrived, it tells you whether you must adapt or die. Because when the world moves to things like 4IR, robotics, Internet of Things, as MICT SETA, we don't want to be left behind. So we want to be part and parcel of that. So our overview as a SETA strategically is to look at how, as a SETA, do we ready ourselves for the skills of the future. We need to look at our curriculum and look at how do we be in par with the world's demand, the first world and the second world's demand of skills of the future, like automotive cars, and a whole lot of nitty-gritty of the new technology. So that's where, as an MICT SETA, we want to see ourselves. So we've tried to formulate strategic relationships with other stakeholders, DTPS and DOC, DST. That's a future we're planning to do as well, to say, for us to be the SETA of the future, we need to work very well with this department. And on top of that, we need not be a SETA that always relies on our normal income that is given by government. Grant comes in, the grant come out, the budget is given to us, and then we pay grant. We need to start to be a SETA that works very hard to look at where else can we source funds to double the effort of fast-tracking the skills demand of our people. We are a country of youth. South Africa is a 60% youth country. So it tells you that as a SETA, we need to start looking at being a youthful SETA that looks at skilling up youth, providing them in terms of skills, including women as well, to be able to adapt to the demand of the future skills. If we don't do this, we will be contributing to the unemployment rate that is high in this country. What in IT does, if you don't quickly adapt and then get yourself involved into the latest technology, use it, train it, study it, work with it, you wake up tomorrow, you take your cell phone, you throw it to your little kid. Hey, I don't know this thing, how it works. Can you do it for me? Those are signs of that you are behind. The technology has left you. You are out. So your kids are moving on. So for us to be not at that stage as MICT SETA, ours is to look at our modules. We have nice modules like electronics, which fits with the building and maintaining of motherboard, electronic stuff, robotics. We have a lot of modules that are in line with the new technology, the new technology demand for the industrial revolutions. So there is no excuse that as MICT SETA why we can't do it. We have to do it. Those needs to be our long-term goals. We try, as MICT SETA, we're trying to make sure that we partner with all the happenings of new technology. For example, lately there was a fourth industrial skills talk by DTPS. So as MICT SETA, we will push and force ourselves that whatever there are discussions of the new technology, we must be there. Not that we do that because we like to be on everything, but we want to do that because we want to be at par with the demand of the skills. If we don't do that, we will wake up and we have the world that operates at a level where we are nowhere to be found, we are behind. And then we will be unable as well to contribute, as I said, to decrease the unemployment rate. In this country, sometimes we used to say the unemployment rate is huge, we have a gap. But we forget that there was a change, there was a boom in technology that came in, and all what we did, we still focused on doing things the old-fashioned way. And then people in IT were getting employed in overseas, in the UK, in everywhere, which means there was a gap which was not filled. So somewhere, somehow, with the assistant of the management, like the acting CEO was saying before, we need to treat the demand of fourth industrial revolution as like it was when there was a Y2K project, where we have to comply, we don't have a choice. So as MICT SETA, we need to take the challenges as opportunities for us to polish up and provide skills. Our sector performance is contributing a huge amount in terms of rands and cents. So there is no excuse to say we're short of funds somewhere. We have the likes of Vodacom, we have the likes of MTN, we have the likes of Telkom, Huawei. I can mention big corporates that are contributing huge in terms of revenues. With collaborations with our stakeholders, we ask that we hold hands together, and then with the levies and all those stuff, and then polish up, and then try and work together in terms of levy collection, compliance. And us as SETA as well, we are open to scrutiny so that when our stakeholders pay their levies, they have confidence in us and trust that we're utilizing their levies in a manner that reflects respect to them, and respect that what they pay to us, we actually utilizes to develop skills as the demands arise. So we have TVET colleges, TVET offices that we work with. In conclusion, from my side, I will say the performance wasn't good. We have our problems, but we have moved to a way where we are correcting all of them and we are moving forward. All what we're asking is that let's hold hands with the stakeholders and work together and try and make the sector skills development work. In partnership with the higher education, we will try our best to deliver what is required with us. And then we will improve as well. The complaints are coming, the payment of skills, of grants and all those stuff. As board and management, we're putting policies in place to address that. For example, one of our focus policies was the increased focus on rural skills development. So there are those elements where we want to shift the focus on skills development to rural. So we need to be kept abreast by the stakeholders that there is these items of skills development that we are not addressing, so that we start focusing on it. So there's a policy, new policy we've instituted for rural skills development, where we're focusing on how can we increase the skills development in rural areas and so forth. In that closing, thank you very much.
Thank you kindly, Chairperson. Ladies and gentlemen, I think the chairperson has given a summary in terms of what the history of our audit outcomes are, as well by the Auditor General. So I'm going to move on and call upon Mr. Charlton Piliso, our Acting Chief Executive Officer, who is going to take us through our performance information and provide a high level of the SETA's performance. Thank you. Can we give a round of applause?
Good morning, everybody. Good morning, everybody. As introduced, my name is Charlton Piliso. I'm one of the actors in this cast. Depending on what you are watching, I could be in Hollywood or I could be in Generations, Mara. I'm the Acting Chief Executive Officer, and I've got fellow managers who are also in similar roles, acting in different capacities. Mine really is to cover the performance information as presented in the annual report. I'm going to take you through how the SETA performed in terms of all the programs that we have. We've got 4 programs as a SETA. The first program is inward looking, which is administration. We have targets and that were set up with the department, which were included in our annual performance plan. So this is a feedback on the AGM to say how we performed on those. The second program would be the sector skills planning. I'll take you through how we did on that one. And the next one is the learning programs program, and the last one is quality assurance. The first one was around administration. Program 1 is around administration. For ease of use, we refer to it as the corporate services. We had 4 things that we needed to do. I will not go through all of them, but I'll touch on the salient ones. These range from providing an efficient ICT backbone and, most importantly, providing a business continuity management plan. If you remember last year, as a SETA, we ran into some stormy waters, and as evidenced by the fact that we're still existing today and we're pushing forward, it's because of the strength of our business continuity management plan. When we have challenges, we're able to rise up and deal with those challenges in that particular way. So the first one was around the saving. As a SETA, we always have to save on the 10% that we receive from the levy. And the second one was on providing efficient ICT service. So on this one, we did achieve, 92% of it was achieved. What we intend doing now, especially for this financial year, is ensuring that the last part, which is now dealing with the grants and how we manage the applications and everything, the entire system is automated. We're busy with our service providers on that matter to ensure that the entire system is automated, where we don't receive calls to say, how far is my application? How far are we doing with this particular one? You should be able to, having submitted the application, be able to check yourself as to how far we are with that particular application. I had already intimated to our business continuity management plan, which is in place and it is existing and it is working very well. The second program has to do with the sector skills planning. As you know, ladies and gentlemen, on a yearly basis, we are expected to conduct research, we are expected to hold stakeholder forums, and at the end of the day, produce a document that is referred to as a sector skills plan. This document fits into the overall objective of the National Skills Development Strategy, which says we must have a credible mechanism for skills planning. So we do all that, and then we get it submitted to the Department of Higher Education and Training, which test the information that we have so that we can begin to use it as a country. Now, with this list, or rather with this process, we end up with what is referred to as a scarce and critical skills list. We end up with a priority skills list, which makes its way to the Department of Home Affairs to determine visa applications. So what you give us, ladies and gentlemen, is very important. You know, there's a term, WYSIWYG, what you see is what you get. So it's so important that the information that we get from the stakeholders is something that can be relied upon. So in terms of this, our targets were that we needed to manage a SETA management system and establish partnerships and develop a professionally researched SSP and update and have an up-to-date career guide. So these we have done successfully. This year we managed to hold a number of roadshows where we shared the career guides. We have distributed the career guides to various stakeholders. So if your kid is not sure as to what they need to study, you know, and they're in high school and so forth, as a parent, you need to get hold of the career guides that are coming from the SETAs. Because those career guides indicate where the opportunities are. They begin to indicate where the saturation is. Remember how we put together a career guide, or how we put together a scarce skills list. We're saying there are a number of vacancies that cannot be filled because we don't have people skilled in these areas. So if you use your career guide, you are able to channel or make sure that your kids or your schools offer what is relevant. Also, with the career guides, we're beginning now to make inroads with our TVETs, we're beginning to make inroads with our universities, we're beginning to engage with them to say your curricula needs to change to look at what the stakeholders or what the industry is saying. So that's what we are doing. So we produced these, and then we had achieved that successfully, and it was submitted to the department. This also begins to inform what we are going to fund as a SETA. If you go through our sector skills plan document, you will notice that we do not have end-user computing. We do not have literacy programs. We do not have all those because our industry has indicated this is not a scarce skill. This is not a scarce skill. So we begin to use that to also say, when we receive applications, which applications are we going to respond to favorably. So read our sector skills plan document so that the inputs that we make when we triangulate the data, it becomes very much meaningful. So we're able to achieve on those ones. The next one, this is where the chairperson was referring to say we have not achieved on our targets. We had a target to ensure that we've got unemployed learners entering learnerships, they are receiving bursaries, and they need to be placed at the workplace, internship programs, all the way up to short programs. This is what we could achieve as a SETA in the past financial year, despite the fact that for a period of about 8 months, the SETA was not allowed to evaluate or entertain any applications because of the moratorium that was put in place. Despite that particular challenge that we had, this is what we received. It's the first time in 8 years where the SETA has not met its challenges. And the sad part is that we didn't meet our targets despite the applications that we had. We had a bucket full of applications. But because of the problems that we had to adhere to what was in place. So we normally shout very loud about our achievements in terms of our targets and everything. This time we're saying it, you know what, this is how we performed around learning programs. We're not proud of it. It's a challenge that we faced, and I'm glad the new board is in place and they have approved the policy, and it ensures that we'll be able to roll out the programs seamlessly. My last slide on my presentation is around the education and training quality assurance. This is where we need to ensure that we have accredited training programs, training providers. We need to ensure that we have registered assessors and moderators. We need to ensure that we have got qualifications that can be offered, qualifications that can be delivered. We're working very closely with the QCTO to ensure that when the change happens between our legacy qualifications and we move over to the new format of qualifications, there isn't a gap, which is why the qualifications were re-registered for a further 5 years whilst we're dealing with this process. We can't afford a vacuum whereby we have no programs that can be offered. So, in essence, ladies and gentlemen, we view skills development as a voluntary exercise. You know, this is one view that I've always held. If we treat our stakeholders well, they will be able to participate and ensure that they pass the skill on to our young learners. No matter how much we can put there, no matter how much the amount of levies can be, if they don't want to do it, they won't do it. So as a SETA, we've always been responsive in ensuring that our stakeholders are not left with big challenges when it comes to hosting our learners. So, in terms of accredited qualifications, by end of March, we had about 575 that were achieved. We had about 1,500 assessors. We had about 820 moderators, which means the system is beginning to work. You know, it has matured. SETAs are now teenagers, for lack of a better word. They are at the stage where now they can begin to, we don't have to start things from scratch. We know exactly what we are doing. So, yeah. So that will be my last slide, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Piliso. Colleagues, I think I also just need to remind us that this is an engagement platform, so we will allow for an opportunity for discussion and comments at the end of all the presentations. So please be reminded that if you have any comments, inputs, or questions that you may have after each respective presenter has presented their section, you are more than welcome to put forth your comments and questions towards the end of the program. So I'm going to call upon again once more the chairperson of the board, Mr. Sihle Ngubane, to just come and take us through the governance of the SETA.
Thanks, Program Director. The next slide I'm going to present is on governance. Before I introduce the board, I'd like to talk about our mandate. The mandate of us, as a board, we are guided by certain pieces of legislation that we need to comply with. So, as a board, we have pieces of legislation like Skills Development Act, PFMA, BBE, PPFA, Employment Equities Act. Ours as a board in governance is to provide strategic directions of the MICT SETA and do proper governance, is to look at policies, to look at whether the SETA really deliver on its mandate as specified by the Act and as demanded by the stakeholders, the higher education. So the composition of the board at this stage is still intact. We were unfortunate by losing one of the members, not losing in terms of the other one. She resigned. There were greener pastures somewhere, so she left us. It was Miss Deliwe Rampa. So the board composition was about 15 board members, including me as a chairperson. Currently, we are 14. So we're in a process of rectifying that and then closing that gap. When we looked at the board and then we looked at what happened in previous board, remember this board is driven by the history of what happened before. There were activities that we had to do in order to correct, to make sure that what happened before, we close all the gap. It doesn't happen at this current tenure of ours. Because the lesson learned there is what we're talking about today of the unqualified audit. It ended, it brought us up on. So those were the directions we were given as a board. This is the previous scenario. You are in the current scenario. Prepare policies and methodologies and structures that make sure that what happened before does not happen in this tenure. With the committees and everything intact, we introduced one of the committee, which has governance and strategy, because we saw there was a missing link in the previous board, which had some element of contributions into what happened before, where we said, let's focus on zooming and looking directly into the governance of the institution, that it is correct, it's not lacking, and we wanted to make sure. So that's the only committee in terms of governance that we introduced. As a board, we now and again, time to time, inspect ourselves, look at us as a board to say, are we providing proper direction? What is needed? What other task team committees are required? If there are any, then we introduce them. We currently have around about 3 committees. It's a FinRemco, it's EXCO, and that is Governance and Strategy Committee. Those are the current committees we have. So in that point, I will start introducing to the stakeholders, the board members of the MICT SETA. We have as well, I forgot to mention, there's a committee called Audit and Risk Committee as well. The reason you forget this committee, it proves that the governance is intact. It's because me as a chair and as a board, we don't sit on that committee. We don't even know them. They have their committee. We have only 2 representatives of ours that sits there. But they do their audit and risk in collaborations with auditor, with AG. And they are an independent committee. So that's another committee we're having. So I will start from my right to introduce the board members of the MICT SETA. When I introduce you, colleagues, so that the members know, I will ask you to stand, and then the members, so that they know you. On my first right, I have Mr. Clyde Mervyn, who is the representative from the Labour. And then the next one is Mr. Sontaga Mantlaga, who is a representative of the Labour as well. And then I have Mr. Tebogo Morobe, a representative of the Labour. I have the next one is Tombokolo Mayeneza, representative of the Labour as well. Then I have Zama Pagati, who is the representative of the business. And then I have the next to her is Mr. Ivo Pasha, who is the representative of the business, or the social, not the business, the social. Next one is Mr. Tamim Zileni, the representative of the Labour. Following there, it's an audit and risk member, Mr. Wiseman Tanga. And then the next one is Yolandi Exner, who is the representative of the business as well. And then the following one is Mr. Thabo Mfokeng, the representative of the business. And then we have Ms. Marilyn Khadebe representing the business also. And then we have Ms. Ntombigaise Kumalo, who is the representative of the Labour. And then we have Advocate Gloria Kumalo, who is the representative of the business. And then we have the chair of the Audit and Risk, a member, Ms. Nokwaga Oliphant. In that nutshell, that's all board members we have. The board members are composed of the Labour, the 6 Labour, 6 business, and 2 from social and community representative. Social, it's social, community representative, government representative. There is one member who is not here, Mr. Donald Lipogo, who is the representative of the state-owned entities as well. Those are in a nutshell in terms of our governance, the representative, the leader in the governance, and will assist in a strategic direction of the MICT SETA. Thank you.
Thank you once more, Chairperson. The next section, ladies and gentlemen, is an important aspect of our annual report, which details our financial position against our performance targets and organizational activities. So without further ado, I'm going to call upon Ms. Noni Gonji to come and give us an overview of the MICT SETA's financial position within the 2017-18 financial year. Thank you. Can we give her a round of applause?
Good morning, everyone. All protocol observed. Once again, as introduced, my name is Noni Gonji, and I will be taking you through the financial information as reported in the annual report for the financial year 2017-18. So in terms of our revenue, for the financial year, we received our income as regulated in terms of the legislation and the allocation, which is 20% mandatory grants received, and then it's 49.5% discretionary grants are received, and then 10.5% of the administration, which includes 0.5% of the QCT allocated to QCTO. So in November 2017, the DHET issued circular number 15 of 2017 in terms of the latest grant regulations. Okay. So this circular sets aside regulation 3, paragraph 12, and also guided us on the allocation of surpluses to discretionary grants. And then we had to continue to apply the surplus retention in terms of the PFMA, as well as National Treasury Instruction Note number 6 of 2017-18, whereby we have to request the retention of cash surpluses from the National Treasury. So this circular also repromulgated Regulation 4, subparagraph 4, which is the allocation of mandatory grants, which is 20%. So our income that we received over the past 5 years, we have been receiving income which has been increasing on a year by year. And in 2014, we received 606.7 million. And in 2018 financial year, which is the last financial year, we received 817.8 million. So our income has been increasing on a year-to-year basis. However, the growth percentage, like the trend, has been on a decreasing rate from 2014 to 2017. As we can see, in 2014, we're at 12.41 in terms of the growth percentage. And then in 2017, we're sitting at 5.7%. However, in 2018, we then increased again the rate to 10.09%. So this levy income is purely the levies from the skills development levy, which excludes the interest and penalties charged by SARS on the late payments. And then in terms of the statement of financial position, as reported in the annual report, our expenditure against the income that we received, we spent on discretionary grants 611.3 million in the 2018 financial year. And for mandatory grant expenditure, we spent 154.2 million. That led us to report a payout ratio of 76%, which is below our target, annual target of 85%. So the administration expenditure is sitting at 79.3. So all of that expenditure against our income resulted in a surplus reported of 11.3 million. So we improved from last year's deficit that we reported of 149.9 million, which was purely against the expenditure from discretionary grants, as we had to pay a lot of grants in the past financial year from the backlogs. So from the statement of financial position, as reported as well in the annual report, we have our cash and cash equivalents, which is mainly our bank and investments, of 361.2 million. So our receivables sitting at 4.6 million, creditors 109.5 million, and we committed 302.9 million. So this shows how we calculate our surplus in terms of that National Treasury instruction for us to declare to the National Treasury. And even if we will report a deficit, we have to declare a nil return to the National Treasury. So the commitments that we're reporting will be financed against the reserves, the discretionary reserves of 256.1 million. So we are required to sweep surpluses from the other segments. That is, if we report you have a surplus from your administration levy, as the allocation you have to, from your levy income, you allocate administration, mandatory, and discretionary. So any income, rather surplus that is realized from administration and mandatory levies at the end of the financial year has to be swept to discretionary grants for funding the programs as legislated through the SETA grants regulation. And then, which we ended up reporting overall, as said, the 11.3 million surplus. So in terms of our financial viability, as assessed by and reported by the Auditor General, we are in a relatively good position. We still continue and within the credit terms, pay our creditors. We're sitting at 13.1 days against the credit terms. As mentioned, we did report a surplus in the current financial year compared to the loss that was reported in the prior year. We do have our positive cash flows, and we continue to receive our income through the levies. We are sitting at a net asset position, which is positive. Thank you. That's all.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm clearly being defeated by sound today. Ladies and gentlemen, we've heard from our Chief Financial Officer, and as I had alluded earlier on, that we will provide an opportunity for Q&A at the end of each respective presenter's presentation. I take it as well that you have reviewed our annual report. We have given a summarized view in our A5 booklet on your packs. So if you do have any inputs, any comments with regards to the financial statements or with regards to the performance information against our targets, this is the open platform where we can engage and discuss. We've got mics that will be roaming through the venue. So if I may just request that if you do have a question, kindly raise your hand such that you are recognized and introduce yourself, as well as the organization which you represent, and followed by your comment. Our panelists will be able to probably take 2 or 3 questions at a go, depending on the rate of questions that come through. And based on all those questions, they will engage and answer them in groups. The floor is yours, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks. Can we get a mic to Mike here in the front?
Thank you, Program Director. I am Mike Lunica from the Abandoned Media. We don't only stand up because we have a burning question to ask. At times you stand up because you want to congratulate and just have a comment. This time around, I want to welcome the team of Mr. Ngubane with the hope that they are going to do a sterling job. But in the midst of that, I want to also have to understand, as he's saying that they want to increase the focus on the rural development. What strategies and what modalities are they going to employ in order to reach that? And in the background of the fact that this morning we had a Deputy Minister of COGTA on SABC, who was also raising a serious concern on the fact that the rate of urbanization means that by 2030, 60% of the South African population will be urbanized. And then the question is, are we swimming against the tide, or are we also following the tide towards the urban areas? What are we really doing? Because the very same people that were trying to reach at the rural areas, they are moving very fast to urban areas. And how do we balance the two?
Thank you. Kosnati, can we get a mic at the top?
Thank you. My name is Alvin Nell. I'm from the Black Management Forum. Firstly, well done on your financials, the unqualified audit report to you, acting CEO and chairperson. I just want to ask on the mandatory grants, increased by about 7%, and the discretionary grants decreased by 15%. Now, you know, in accounting terms, anything outside of a margin of 10% becomes material, significant, and worth looking into. I just want to know that 15% decline, what exactly happened there? And then just on the last one, as a Black Management Forum, we will engage MICT SETA on some practical digitization, fourth industrial revolution initiatives. Thank you.
Okay. Colleagues, just be reminded that our panelists will take a collaborative approach in dealing with the questions. So at the current moment, I think it's best for us to just deal with the two questions. One, I think, is directed towards our Chief Financial Officer, and the other, we do acknowledge the positive feedback. It is much well appreciated. And also, importantly, what is our strategy in terms of moving towards rural development, taking into cognizance the high rate, rather, of urbanization. So to Chairperson and our acting CEO, I think the latter will be best dealt by you. We've got mics now.
Thank you very much. For the last 3 or 4 months, we have been going around the country. We've been going around the country soliciting inputs and opinions, where we're presenting that we are going to have a rural rollout plan. And the rural rollout plan is going to be the start, or will be kick-started by us placing an advert. We're going to place an advert onto different media so that we can have service providers responding in assisting us on the delivery of the programs. So ESCO approved the advert. We need just to place the advert. It was approved about 2 weeks ago. We need to place the advert. So what we're busy with now is lining up community radio station and community newspapers, because we feel that those do have the reach for the different rural areas. And we'll also be going on an advocacy program where we'll be on TV and national radio stations. We'll be talking about the rural program. In essence, what we want to do, or in terms of the modalities, what we want to do, or how we see this panning out, is that we'll have an advert, there'll be an evaluation team that evaluates the respondents, and then if you meet the criteria, you can participate in the rollout of that particular program for that particular province. The advert is going to be for all 9 different provinces, you know. The aim is that we need to start these programs in this financial year, meaning between now and the end of March next year. So that's how we think this will run. It's a shift. It's a new thing that we are doing as a SETA. We have never done this before. So we are equally anxious so that in all that we're doing, we have a focus of the SME. We want to ensure that the SME is in the front line and they are going to be able to roll out this program. And the programs that the service delivery, or rather the partners that we'll be partnering with around this, should be addressing our priority skills list. You know, we're not going to do end-user computing or various other programs. We're going to be addressing our priority skills list. We are moving away from this notion that because it's rural, therefore it must be computer literacy. We want to introduce coding to rural areas. We want to introduce artificial intelligence and all these things that we're talking about, which make up the 4th Industrial Revolution. So we believe that if we can do that and people are skilled where they are, this could also arrest and improve the areas that they stay in. Thank you so much.
Okay, a contribution from my side from what the acting CEO is talking about. Us as a board is to look at what the management is doing in terms of trying to address the shortage of skills in other areas, like in rural areas, is to look at moving out from the norms of saying how can we assist the management to have more budget for them to increase the focus on skills development. So ours as a board is to say, which stakeholders that exist within government, within the World Economic Forum, within anywhere else where we know that there is a funding where we can assist management to be able to do work, to do work more, not have limits within the budget, so that they won't work with the budget they receive. They have more capacity to be able to deliver skills. So that's ours as board, where we're looking at that to say, how can we look at talking to other departments that have funds so that we can increase the skills focus in terms of skills development.
Thank you, Chairperson. Noni?
Thank you, Program Director. Thank you. So, if I captured your question correctly, I think you're referring to slide on the statement of financial performance, the previous one. Yes. Okay, the next slide. So there has been a decrease in the discretionary grants expenditure. So mainly, I think as the chairperson of the board, when he mentioned that there were challenges, and also the acting CEO did mention that. So that also resulted in us dispersing the grants in terms of the approvals. So there was a moratorium during the financial year. So that resulted in delays, or in some of the programs delayed to be done. So for mandatory grants expenditure, we have increased from compared to the prior financial year. So that is mainly due to the response in terms of compliance by the employers in submitting their WSPs and annual training reports in terms of the compliance. So those are mainly the reasons. Thank you.
Thank you, Noni. Colleagues, in the interest of time, if there aren't any further questions, if you'd allow me to please move on to our next agenda item. Thank you. So colleagues, that brings us to the end of the presentation of our annual report for the 2017-18 financial year. But I think importantly, as I had mentioned or alluded in my introduction of the fourth industrial revolution impacting skills development, as our driving theme, we have also invited some of our stakeholders, which you will have seen in the beginning, that have showcased some of their products and services that they are utilizing within the Industry 4.0. And within their respective fields, they will now come up and present how they are impacting our industry in terms of providing skills for the workforce of tomorrow. Without further ado, I'm going to call upon our first stakeholder, which is a training provider. They are called Mirai Edutainment Robots. They are a partner in IT, and they will be presenting robotics in the fourth industrial revolution. I'd like to call upon Mr. Tsidiso Mbekwa, who will present further for us. Thank you.
Morning, ladies and gentlemen, and all protocol observed. Thanks, CEO. Thanks, the chairperson, and thanks to everybody who is here today and listening to us as we present. On Friday, when Jack Ma was speaking, he said, when you do a business plan for a new technology, it becomes pretty much impossible, especially to impress the investors. Because when you say you are sitting in a billion rands or $1 billion opportunity, but because it's much, much more forward-looking, it's not easy for the investors who may not be in the same field to understand what you are referring to. And I present to you this morning as a stakeholder in MICT to say we are fortunate to live or to exist during this industrial revolution. And this is going to revolutionize the way we work. And its impact is going to be felt much, much more wider than maybe most of us will have anticipated. And I present this also and say this is an opportunity for me and my company to say we're looking and seeing ourselves as billionaires within this industrial revolution. Our company's name is Mirai, and I want to congratulate the Master of Ceremonies today when she presented mentioning South Korea. Mirai is a South Korean name for success. Our company is based on South Korean model. We go there 3 times a year. We started going to South Korea in 2013, so we really learn the models of implementations from South Korea, and we brought them to South Africa, and we then implement that. We have quite a very nice, wonderful team, led by Dr. Mpekwa, who's having a PhD in computer science. We have Dr. Hanita Swanipul, also having a PhD in sciences, and myself trying to get a PhD. I hope I'll succeed. You see, I'm here, I'm supposed to be writing documents, and I'm here presenting, so at least I'm effective in the group. We have a group of 10 engineers. In our company, you really have to be a computer scientist, computer systems. We take people from postgrad. We are not able to take an undergrad because of the expectations of what we need or the kind of skill set that we require. So we have 10 engineers, and most of them are from postgrad. I'll make an example with the guy that you may have talked to outside there, a very short guy. That short guy there, he's doing his master's in robotics. So he may look small, but he's very good. So you must be able to program and be able to program machines and understand the whole spectrum of Industry 4.0 or this industrial revolution and the 8 elements that we are talking to. So we specialize largely in robotics and cybersecurity, but today I'll really specifically talk to robotics and say how do they impact in the skill set and what is it that we've been able to do as an organization. You know, sometimes this technology, you still need to confirm which one goes to the right direction. Okay. Now, it's not a robot, so I can use it. Okay. What we basically do within the 4th Industrial Revolution, we inspire young people's interest in science and technology. Basically, we go to schools, we recruit students from schools, and try to make South Africa understand the importance of mathematics. If you are to program the kind of programs that we do, you need to have a very deep understanding of math and science. So to us as a company, it's very important to inspire the love of science, the great interest in technology, but beneath that, there's a massive mathematics that we do. For those of you that saw the robot that we were playing up there, where it was mimicking the guy that was playing, that programming is mathematics. Yes, there's coding that happens there, but that coding is basically mathematics that runs behind. There are formulas that we basically do in there. So we target from 6-year-olds up to, we say grade 12 in terms of STEM, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, but we also influence university students who are now already implementing our solutions. Right now in Bloemfontein, we're based in the Free State. Right today, NEMISA, which is Electronic Media Institute, is here in Parktown. They're in Bloemfontein. And we are also demonstrating to them some of the things that we're able to do this year. And also because of the skill set that we require, we partner with universities because it's not able to really go into communities and find engineers in abundance and able to do the kind of researches that we do. So we are mentioning the universities that we are currently in talks with: CPUT, University of the Free State, TUT, University of Limpopo, UJ, and University of Northwest. As you can see, we have not yet gone to the coast of KZN. We have really started going to the Eastern Cape and going to the Western Cape. We hope we'll be able to partner with almost all universities and be able to introduce the kind of programming that we do and the kind of skill set that we believe the country will require into the future. We basically run tournaments for kids from 6-year-old. They are able to build different robots that concentrate on structures and motion. So everything should be able to move. So at that age, they don't really program, but they put the kids together and be able to build a particular robot, and then that robot should be able to move. We use cell phones. That's what we say to most of the parents. We are one of the few, I think, academies that will then allow kids to come with cell phones. We need a lot of Wi-Fi in our facility because the kids need to log in, download the apps, and be able to use our apps. I think those that saw us with the man that was doing the push-ups early this morning, that little man, we are running him from the cell phone. And that program needs somebody to code it, and the smaller kids can just use it without necessarily having to program. But we basically programmed those. And then when the kids are at your grade 8, your high school kids, they literally are able to do the whole curriculum of your science, technology, and mathematics. And we've been in discussion with the departments there to demonstrate to them how kids can learn. You know, we have a simple technology of force. We always say force is a push or a pull, but that remains abstract until you use something that pulls and something that pushes. If you saw our motorbike there, kids at grade 8 do moto. What is a moto? That remains abstract until a kid is able to build a motorbike and being able to see himself or herself building a chain that controls that motor. And once that has been built, the kid should be able, at that age of 15 now, to start coding it, give that motorbike an instruction and make it perform in the manner that you want it to perform. So that's what we do. And from there, we work with universities. We use an operating system called Robotics Operating System. It's an open source. We use it because it will be cheaper to use. So we use ROS. TUT has already bought our packages. They are testing them, and we hope they will love it, and the students there will be able to use them, and we hope in a year's time we can come back and give you a report and say, this uses our packages and is able to speak and is able to recognize speech. So that's what we are doing with. And you will know, for those of us that did computers at one stage, when you started your first year at university, everything you did was in a computer. And everything remained abstract because you have to think deep in your mind how you're going to apply that. I'll explain it later. We also run camps where the kids are then partnered with our university students to be able to compete with the robots that they are able to build. And we hope in a year's time we'll launch our own Olympiad once the Department of Education has approved what we are doing. Learning coding, because in the fourth industrial revolution, the biggest thing that is happening there is coding. Whether you code for IoT or Internet of Things, whether you code for cybersecurity, whether you code for machine learning or you code for robotics, the power of that fourth industrial revolution is how you are able to use your code to enable a human being to interface with a machine. Now we are saying the success when you're using a computer only compared with when you have a robotics. Success without problems. You can see the pink ones are when you have robotics. When you did your solutions only on computer without a machine or a device additive that is helping you to implement that, The success was, when you try and take it to implementation, the success was lower. But now that we have a robot to test with, the success rate of your application on the desktop is much more greater. The same says the failure to operate. After you've developed a program on a desktop, when you try to send it, that code, into a real living machine, most of the time it does not operate. You still need to adjust. But now that we have a robot, you are able then to test, and you're then able to succeed. So the failure rate is lessened in the second chart there. The last one says, problems found and solved. Through robots, we are able to find the problems we were coding and solve them before we deploy them. So we then say, robotics are helping us to program better. They have simplified coding. Where are we right now? We've been 3 times on radio. We are given slot on the radio stations, Lesedi. I don't know if any of you have heard us. We've been there 3 times. On our database right now, we've been able to build a database of 10,000 parents that then phoned us from the programs that we run on TV. We have 100 towns. And we are coming to MICT today, we say, we need to be training people like us that will be able to go and implement this solution outside of the current province. We're invited in Pretoria on the 18th of August. We did our first presentation in Pretoria. We have about 500 parents that we presented to. On the 20th, we are in Sandton. We've presented to about 600 parents that we are trying to tell parents that you have to be intentional about what your kids study. You have to be intentional about the schools that your kids go to. You have to be intentional about the subjects that the kids choose. Because finally all these are going to be impacted in the kind of careers that their finally kids are able to move into. In conclusion, we create our own skills and we absorb them. All these kids that we've employed, 10 engineers, we are attached to the university, we train them, and we absorb them. And now we have engineers that are able to work within the 4th Industrial Revolution and within artificial intelligence. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Mpegwa. Ladies and gentlemen, we also do encourage you at the end of our program to go and engage and see what Mirai Edutainment is showcasing. I'm going to now call upon Ms. Renee Bramage from VIX Technologies, who will also be presenting a product in transport mobility. They are also our partner in the IT sector. May we give her a round of applause.
Good morning, everybody, and thank you very much. All protocols observed. VIX Technology is a transit mobility solutions provider. We provide payment platforms for transport companies across the globe. We have 38 offices or 34 offices around the globe, 800 employees, 70 of which reside here in South Africa. In 2017, we partnered with MICT SETA to offer a learnership program. We took on board 15 young people from all walks of life, of all different kinds of backgrounds, and we took them through a 12-month, what was meant to be a 12-month program and turned into a 15-month program, teaching them about the technology and essentially, thank you. Thank you. And sorry, did you not hear the first part? Shall I start again? VIX, for those of you who didn't, I'll make it quick. VIX Technology is a transit mobility company. We offer payment solutions for transport operators throughout the world. We have 34 offices across the globe and 800 employees, 70 of which reside here in South Africa. In 2017, we partnered with the MICT SETA to offer a learnership program for 15 young people from all walks of life. And what was a 12-month program turned into a 15-month program. We trained them on basically the ticketing machines that get used on buses throughout South Africa, including BRT systems in Tshwane, the Arayeng project, the MICT SETA project in Cape Town, and soon to be the Go Durban project in Durban. We're also on buses in rural and urban areas across the country, so Patco's, Northwest Stars, Great North Transport, right across South Africa. We service buses, and we have for 30 years. We help transport operators understand their businesses better through the analytics that we pull off the ticketing machines, and we help them manage the revenue that they generate from their operations, and we help them to do it far more efficiently. So we took on 15 young learners, and in that time they were trained in a very technical way. At the end of the 12 months, we decided to extend the program to 15 months, and at the end of last year, we, instead of only employing 7 of the 15 young learners, we employed 9. 6 or 7 of them are with me here today, and they're on our exhibition spot outside, so please do engage with them. They have embraced the technology and the opportunity, and we've got a video to show you, so I'm not going to share too much with you because they can tell their own stories. What I do want to say is in 1931, George Bernard Shaw said that youth is wasted on the young. Well, almost 100 years later, I quite confidently feel that I can disagree with him, because these 9 young people who we are now fully employed by VIX and have opportunities globally with us have done anything but waste the opportunity they've had with VIX technology. And I take this opportunity to honor them and to thank them for the incredible work and contribution and the energy that they have brought to VIX technology. So without further ado, can we play the video, please?
Having operated in over 200 cities in the world, with over 700 personnel across 10 countries, VIX understands that every customer journey is different. One of these countries in which VIX operates is South Africa, a country where potential and promise is often crippled due to poverty and skills shortages. As a shining example of our commitment to upliftment and the creation of economic freedom, we have embraced a learnership program in which the lives of 15 young individuals have been transformed through training, support, and certification provided by VIX South Africa. We strive to create a better journey, not only for our customers, but in the lives of all stakeholders affected by our business.
The government has embarked on a program to upskill people in South Africa, because everybody can't go to university. And secondly, our bus industry is quite unique, and we decided to train people in our industry, not just for us, but also for the industry.
So from a VIX perspective, we've decided to act. No more talking, it's time for action. So what we decided is to participate in this program, and for us to, through this program, to actually make a difference, to contribute, and in this way, to contribute to the eradication of poverty.
The skills that we are giving them here is part of the shortage skills in the country. So it's a very good initiative that the VIX is doing to the learners.
Well, if you look at some of the background of the learners, they come from agriculture, from marketing, and I must say I was very impressed with the way they conducted themselves and the way they adapted to the IT and to electronics.
My name is Sharon Mokhadi Molupe. I'm from Soshanguve.
My name is Walter Chabalala. I'm 22 years old. I'm from Katlehong.
My name is Tiamo Terence Mabula. I'm 29 years of age.
My name is Lebohang Sibia. I'm from Soweto, Orlando East. I'm 27 years of age.
I enrolled in this program with the hopes that I would actually bounce back into the market, into the corporate market, and to establish myself again after failing in business.
What we want to achieve is to train 10 or 15 individuals to become part of the economic environment of South Africa, and then of course to train people to become VIX employees.
What excites me about it is the growth I see in it.
I believe that this program has been more than just successful. It has done what is actually required of the corporate world in South Africa to basically implement a way of minimizing the whole unemployment rate and the whole thing of skills being very scarce in South Africa.
Well, from a VIX perspective, I think it's important to contribute through action to a better South Africa. We can talk about poverty, but it's really, really important that we actually do something. And like Nelson Mandela said, through education we can change the world. And that's really the motivation behind where we're at.
I would rate this program as 9/10 because I think it's a good initiative with a whole lot of new skills that our country needs.
I'm very, very impressed with the exposure that they have had in this company.
I have achieved way more than what I've expected. So I'd give it a 10 because I've got experience now. I'm gonna get my IT certificate qualification, looking at my age now, and I'm very privileged for this leadership. I'd do it anytime again if I had to.
If we consider the feedback from the SETA officials who were paying regular visits here on the project, if we look at the reports from SETA, there is no doubt that SETA is also very impressed with what they found going on with this project.
From my perspective, I'm really proud to be part of this group and part of the learnership program.
Some of them are saying they're living out their dream, so I'm very impressed with the way that they're conducting themselves and they've adapted to the program.
And this program is really focused in terms of upskilling, in terms through technology and making the transport industry a better place.
For me, the biggest thing is whether they can apply the theory into practice. And I must say, I'm astonished the way that they are reacting and performing in practice.
My mentors at VIX, brilliant people to work with, very open, very, very supportive, and also full of zeal to always assist you with every single little issue that I had, including even personal ones where I got advices from them, how to tackle certain issues. It was not only just work, they became more than mentors, they became more of friends and support structures in my life.
We've got a fantastic team, we've got great employees, and I think the opportunity to actually convey and transfer the knowledge and mentor is really like activated a different set of skills within the team. And they've really grew to the task in terms of actually educating, uplifting and mentoring these youngsters, which is fantastic from our perspective.
VIX, i-company eguti, i-VIX isifundisa into eziningi. I-VIX isebenza ngemishini nangamabhasi. I-VIX isifundisa into eziningi ukuthi sikwazi ukulungisa imishini nokuprograma. Ziningi into engazisho ngeVIX because iVIX isinikeza i-opportunity ukuthi sibe kule learnership program.
VIX would like to congratulate all 15 learners from the class of 2017 for their courage, resilience and hard work in creating a better future, not only for themselves, but for their communities, VIX and South Africa as a whole. VIX, creating a better journey.
Thank you so much for the opportunity.
Thank you, Renee, for your presentation. Colleagues, I think those success stories were quite evident that through strategic partnerships with our stakeholders and collaboration, it is evident to accelerate quality skills in our sector. Without further ado, I'm going to call upon our last stakeholder and our last partner. And quite importantly, ladies and gentlemen, I think I need to mention that Vision View Productions were our strategic partner today in making this event possible. They have provided live streaming for us, and I think most importantly to note as well that some of the crew members that were part and parcel of putting this production together are some of the learners that have been absorbed by Vision View Productions from part of the MICT SETA programs in film and media that were offered. And these learners obviously have played an integral role in making this event a success. So let us give them a round of applause before they come up.
Well, good morning, everybody. My name is Tabanke Tshabile, and I'm the training manager at Vision View Productions. But the reason I insisted to come and stand here is I've always wanted to use that South African parlance, you know, all protocol observed. So Vision View Productions is a very dynamic young company based in Randburg and Cosmos City. And I think we are simply propelled by the notion of black excellence. You know, at Vision View Productions, like Kabisa has already said, I mean, two of the bosses of this whole productions are actually beneficiaries of the MICT SETA Workplace Integrated Learning, which is Katlego Moloi from Putadichaba. And we also have Zoliswa from Okni. So this partnership, it's quite important to us. I mean, we are 13 years in existence. We've been trying to implement learnerships, but you know, we didn't know much about MICT SETA. But Bra Ernest, you know, and his team have really, you know, helped organize us. And you know, it's very important that you need to know that we're also intentional about what we're talking about here. I mean, on an annual basis, we've adopted about 3 schools in rural South Africa where we take our trucks and equipment and expose kids to careers within the broadcast industry. And that's one of our flagship programs. Recently, we've just launched the first on the continent, and Tandegile will talk about it, with the first online digital sports radio station in Africa. So we're pioneering, and without talking too much, I'm gonna allow our assistant here to just play our video, and then Tandegile will speak to the theme of the day. Thank you.
Welcome to Vision View Productions.
We have a great production department where the brains of the production process occurs, and this is led and operated by 90% women of color. The producers can form creative and intelligent ways of taking an idea from conception to being a broadcast quality production. That's the Vision View way.
From the notepad straight onto the state-of-the-art lens, we only call cut when excellence is achieved. Behind the spectacle on your screen is Vision View Productions' team of exceptional producers and camera operators who, in putting together your favorite stories, leave no stones unturned.
We have state-of-the-art post-production facilities here at Vision View Productions, handled by a team of creative youngsters. We strive to break boundaries in the broadcasting industry with our amazing in-house graphics department to take your shows to another level of amazing. Cue.
The final mix suite at Vision View Productions has the capability to record voice-over artists and musicians. It has complete functionality for mixing both voice and television productions with a variety of sound effects that enhance any product that is being mixed.
As presenters, we'd like to take all the credit for our on-screen beauty. This right here is where all the magic happens, taking us from dull to dazzling.
What sets us apart from the other facilities is that we've got 300 square meters of studios, 2 of them. We also have our own lighting grids in each of the studios, fitted with the latest technology in terms of lighting. We offer a turnkey solution to our clients, so when the client moves in, basically they just come in with a set. We then provide all the other elements that they will require in order for their shoot to be successful.
If you're gonna wait, you might as well do it in style, right? Before taking the main stage in our world-class studios. our talent benefits from a fabulous waiting room.
It means a lot for me as a black woman to work for Vision View OBs because it's a fully owned black company. So I take pride as a black woman to work for a fully black owned company, especially in a male dominated industry.
What is great about working for Vision View is I think we live in harmony. We are free with each other. So we work together that way because we can understand each other at our levels. So that's what is great. You feel like you belong.
That's the vision.
Morning, everyone. I hope Tabang has protocoled for me. I'm Tandegile Ngembezi, the operations manager. I always feel so proud when I see that video. I think we did a good job in kind of expressing the diversity of our organization. Our organization is not that old. It was started in 2005. It had 2 employees. It is now 2018. And we have 70 employees, about 80 employees. So that would not have been possible without the assistance of SETA, because I think an organization like SETA allows any organization to grow. So it's been critical that we are able to then expand and grow through having interns and being able to absorb them. And also just to teach and share. I think ever since we started the company, we've always been not keeping information to ourselves, because if most of you have an understanding of the television industry, predominantly it was quite pale male, and any brown child trying to enter was met with a lot of barriers to entry. So being able to facilitate training and growth for youngsters, or even not so young, but passionate people about broadcasting has been really, really incredible. And I think in that growth, we have been able to have suppliers. I'm not sure how many of you tuned into the broadcast on Facebook and YouTube, but ever so often we get shown the name straps of who's talking, and that's a graphics company, the first live graphics company, black-owned as well, on the continent, called Seb for Vision. So they do graphics for the PSL, they do graphics for Multi-Choice Disky Challenge, so they're quite global in terms of their reach. And I don't know if you can check the screens, that's the people who are working in the OB van right now. So our OB vans were built by ourselves. We are a systems integration company as well. We're not just a television production company where we have studios, pre and post production, and outside broadcast vans. But our outside broadcast vans, we built them from scratch. We decided what equipment goes inside. So that is the systems integration. But systems integration does speak to the 4th industrial revolution, which is in our media space, it's the Internet of Things. Because now everything that is in those vans is IP based. It's no longer, as a technician, it's no longer about being able to plug a cable in the right place. You need to be able to route your screens using IP addresses. You need to be able to route certain things using IP. So so that is part of our industry. Also in terms of broadcast, you no longer necessarily have to go to a traditional broadcaster. You can create, everyone has a YouTube channel who is interested in vlogging. So the internet is making us more and more connected, making us more and more, reducing the gatekeepers, as it were. And I think in our industry, that is the biggest push. Because we have a pre and post-production side, we are finding that even our graphics division, you saw them on the video with all the naming on the trucks and stuff like that to say, oh, we've got experienced drivers as the guys driving. That creates a certain dynamic if you're a vlogger, for instance. So if you can do a little bit of graphics, our phones are HD and we're moving to 4K, which is the next thing after HD. So you can just make a really dynamic broadcast with your phone. So with the 4K, which is way better resolution than HD, that is where the broadcast space is going. There's a couple of companies in Europe who are already shooting 4K. There's a couple of TVs that are out now that are saying they are 4K ready. Technology changes so fast. If you think about it, we were SD 10 years ago. We were in standard definition. Now you try and watch a standard definition film. You're like, yo, this is boring. How can we change the channel? So it's been very, very clear that the Internet of Things is definitely the key changer of the media space and the broadcast space. And I think in parting, I would just like to urge you all to please interact with us. We are parked right outside the entrance. Feel free to come in and see our facilities, our engineers and our engineers and everyone that majority of the people you saw on the video are actually outside. So you can ask them about their jobs. You can talk to me. And basically, we call ourselves the one-stop shop, because whether you're looking for a corporate video, whether you want to build an outside broadcast van, whether you want to build an online radio station like what we have done with our Vision View Sports Radio, we can assist in that. We are complete, and we're all black. The majority of us are black, young, African people under the age of 40. That is the majority of our staff complement. So if you add the radio station, our staff complement is sitting at about 130. So that's 130 young people who have opportunities. So I think we're just one. So with everything that's happening in this space, in this MICT space, I think if all of us can just exponentially do what we've done with the help of SETA and the interns and the learnerships and all of that, we can really have exponential growth. And I'm so excited about our industry. I think with everything that's happening, it's going to be incredible. And maybe not only Mirai, sorry, apologies for that. Maybe they're not the only billionaires in the room. Maybe there's about 50 of us in this room who can be billionaires and create millionaires from the people that we take from SETA. So on that note, thank you so much for your time, and please come and chat to us. Thank you so much.
Colleagues, I feel as if Thandegile has done my closing. But I think I need to make a special mention to all the stakeholders that have partnered with us in making the presentation of our annual report a success. As you came in the atrium, you must have also noticed Belgium ICT campus. They're also one of our stakeholders. We also like to make a special mention to Huawei, who is our telecommunications partner, that have basically provided us with the paperless registration process as you entered the event. So would like to extend great gratitude to Huawei. We do thank you. And we'll also like to make mention to Nil Data, who is also our IT partner and also is exhibiting in the atrium. Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, I'd like to also just highlight that this is the board chairperson's meeting. So I'm going to hand over to him such that he can provide us with closing remarks for the day. Thereafter, we will adjourn and go for lunch, which is a stand-up networking lunch with the intention of engaging, with the intention of encouraging more associations within all our subsectors. Thank you very much. Mr. Chairperson, I'd like to call you up.
Okay, thank you, Program Director. Colleagues, you've seen it yourself, stakeholders. Imagine if we can multiply what we've seen by 100, by 200, by more than necessary. I think we have to appreciate the CEO for unearthing this talent. We've seen the robotics company, Mirai. Imagine again if we have 10 or 20 of them. Imagine if we have the Vision View production, the VIX. Or on the VIX, what impressed me much is a guy who's able to do technological things, but you can see that he's trained on what he's doing. So this is what we need to do as well in our workers, where we look at what this fourth industrial revolution is coming to take. And then we try and train them to be able to do the demands of fourth industrial revolution where they are. So in my closing remarks, I would like to thank our acting CEO, Mr. Charles Chinpiliso, for the work that you've done. Thanks to the CEO, Ms. Noni Khonchi, Program Director as well. We thank you for all the work you've done. Stakeholders, for you to come and spend the time with us to brace this event as well. We appreciate that. Again, let's hold hands with stakeholders and make sure that we double effort. I was jealous when I was going to the BRICS summit the other month in Galaga State, where they were presenting the BRICS. It was a presentation of the future skills. And I was seeing the MICT SETA was taking over our work. They were sponsoring companies that were maintaining robotics, drones, and all the stuff. And I asked myself, then if MICT SETA, instead of manufacturing, they're doing ICT things, what must we do then? But that was good. The reason why these countries are far ahead of us, China's, the West, is because they double the effort. Or as I said, if you can multiply by 10, the vision, you have 10 Vision Views company. What would you have there? The market will be booming, the skills will be there, the employment will not be a scarcity. So in that, as well as the board, thanks for presenting yourself to our stakeholders, the higher education representatives. Thanks as well. There is always a person who's always forgotten. It's because this person, even in the corporate governance, his place is defined in two ways. Either he strategically reports to the board, but operationally reports to the CEO. I even forgot to introduce him. And Wes is a new person in the company. He's got 1 month or two started. I forgot to introduce Mr. Tisana Madimeja, our new company secretary at MICT SETA. The man on that side, yeah. So you see, when your position in the company is not clear, no one wants to take responsibility. On that note, we appreciate your presence, and then thanks very much for coming. Thank you.
Without speaking over the chairperson, ladies and gentlemen, the meeting has officially adjourned. You may break, or rather, you may go out for lunch. Thank you.
Sawa.